What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel here from the Geek Speak Nation channel, and I'm here to bring you my review of Iron Fist. So, before we get into this review, I just want you all to know that I'm struggling with allergies right now. So I do apologize if I sound stuffy, if I get a little clogged up, things of that nature. Allergies are killing me. Never had allergies till I got to college, but what are you gonna do about it? Either way, guys, we're not here to talk about our allergies. We're here to talk about Marvel's Iron Fist, the latest of the Netflix TV shows leading up to The Defenders, which is next, which is really awesome that we've actually gotten here. But then again, we shouldn't be surprised with Marvel by them getting to where they want to go when it comes to their universes and their whole entire world building. But nevertheless, Iron Fist is the latest Netflix show, and it's about a guy named Danny Rand, who is the heir to a multi-billion-dollar company, and he gets lost out in the Himalayas after a plane crash, and he must return back to civilization and reclaim his father's company, while some other shifty evildoers behind the scene try to disrupt that journey in and of itself, being the Hand and the Meachums, and Harold Meachum, the other co-founder of his father's company, who was thought of being dead. I know, so much scandal. Let's get initial controversies out the way when talking about this show. Yes, the lead character, Danny Rand, is white. And yes, he went to a monastery and learned Kung Fu, and he comes back kicking butt. There was a lot of internet outrage about Danny Rand being the lead, and that maybe Danny should be Asian or some sort of descent, because they think it's whitewashing, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because Danny Rand in the comic books is white. The point of him being an outside race fits into him being an outside character in the established context that he's in. To me, it perfectly works, and there's no reason to change that. So that's my opinions on that whole entire controversy. There shouldn't be any at all. It's not a big deal. Other controversies involving the show were the reviews, and how the first 6 episodes were reviewed by critics, and they were promptly just shredded apart. A lot of it dealing with the controversy I just mentioned, and some people just saying outright that it was just a bad TV show. And I can firmly say that in my personal belief, that I think Marvel's Iron Fist lays some pretty good groundwork for what can be a really amazing season 2. I think the characters of Colleen Wing and Danny Rand, and I think well, those are about it. Those are my 2 favorite characters really that came out of Iron Fist that were new. And Madame Gao. You gotta show some love to Madame Gao. What a great gal. I think they were pretty good, but besides that, boy, did I not like this show. Like I said, there's a lot of elements of the show that I think if they had worked on more, it would be even better in that sensibility. So let's think of it from the perspective of looking at Iron Fist, the character in and of himself. I think the characters is kind of where the problems start for me, but also the plot, but we'll get to that in a second. So let's talk about the characters. So Iron Fist, Danny Rand in and of himself. For a show that's called Iron Fist, there sure isn't a lot of iron fisting. For a show to be so centered around this character, you really don't get a lot about his motivations beyond a superficial level. I feel like most of the show is spent with Danny Rand going, I am the Iron Fist. You don't understand, it is my duty to fight the Hand. I am the Iron Fist. But yet, constantly, in every single scenario, for the most part, he doesn't deliver in what he's supposed to do. Constantly outmatched by, they do that thing of you have a really, really strong character, but you gotta nerf him for the context of we need to tell a story over an elongated period of time. So he's fighting henchmen who he's getting his butt kicked by, even though he's been training at this monastery for all his life, and beat up a whole bunch of other guys who were just as good, but a little bit not as good, but kind of just as good as him. So he's been training all of his life, but that training does not show at all whatsoever. And I understand the context of Iron Fist or Danny Rand. He's young and immature because he didn't really grow up in an environment that nurtured those sort of emotions or taught him how to deal with those sort of emotions. They just taught him to bottle up those emotions and keep them locked in nice and tight. To me, that's a good concept, and it works for the most part, in this kind of the first half of the series. I definitely say that I liked Danny Rand's progression throughout the series for the most part, but I liked it in the first half more when he was this carefree, easygoing, naive kind of guy with these violent outbursts and trying to control these emotions inside him. I think that worked very well when he was still trying to remain the optimist, as compared to the second half where he just is just falsely brooding for the rest of the series. And I just found it just so monotonous and so exhausting for him to have to go over these same emotional beats over and over again. I think the writing really could have done more service to Iron Fist in and of himself, of giving him some more emotional depth. I have to say that despite what I think about all the other Netflix shows, I think each and every one of these Netflix shows has a serious problem in them, mostly doing with its length. But each and every one of them has a serious flaw. But I'd have to say that unlike all the other shows, this show really does have a problem with giving that character depth, with giving Danny Rand the depth that he really needs. And because everyone else, you understand their conflict. Luke Cage, you're so invested in his internal conflicts and who he is as a person and the things that he's experienced. Jessica Jones, you're locked in what she's been through and where she is, and especially with Daredevil. My God, I basically know the guy. I feel like I know Matt Murdock because of how good the writing is. So I keep mentioning writing, so I guess this is a good time to segue. And honestly, that the writing is what's the true disservice to these characters. I feel like it's very rushed in that sensibility. The characters are under service not only for Iron Fist, I believe, but also for the supporting cast as well. And normally these Netflix shows have a pretty kick-butt supporting cast. But I think the one exception to that, the one exception for sure is Colleen Wing. Whoa, she was awesome in the show. I really enjoyed Colleen Wing in the show. I think she was a really great addition. I really enjoyed her character. I loved her arc. Anytime she was on screen, I was like, yeah, more of this. If you're not going to give me Danny Rand, if you're not going to give me Iron Fist, then sure, I'll take Colleen Wing. She's pretty awesome. And she kind of gets sidelined a little bit and brought in with this strange plot twist towards the end of the series that I won't spoil. But nevertheless, I really like what they did with Colleen Wing. But when it comes to the other characters, they're pretty strangely used and strangely written. And I mean that in the sense of the Meachums. Oh boy, did I not like these characters. The Meachums, for me, were just so unbearable as characters. And I think it came from the fact that every single chance they get, they're like this most selfish, just maniacal, evil human beings, but yet the writing of the show forces you to try to care for them because they're like, oh, but look, they have daddy issues, and I'm like, I don't care. They're terrible people. One moment they'll look Danny in the face and be like, I hate the fact that you came back. You're ruining my career. I wish you were dead. I'm going to do everything in my power to ruin your life. But then the next scene, after they try a scheme to try to kill Danny or put him away or make him look crazy or something, they come back and they're like, oh, Danny, man, come on. You know, it's kind of nice having you around. Don't think too harshly about the things that happened. And it's just like, these guys are so insufferable. I didn't like the Meachums at all whatsoever. I think I liked Harold more, but the way they used him as a villain, he was kind of a villain, and then he wasn't until the very end of the series. So his usage was kind of weird in his development. But you also have, you know, Ward, who I could not stand in the first half. But after the second half, he got really, really good. Once he starts getting addicted to drugs, minor spoilers, I think his character really shined, and I think he was more fun in that sense just because he was cutting loose. But besides that, I still thought he was a terrible human being and was not enjoyable to watch on screen, and I just felt he was kind of boring. And the whole entire arc that they take Joy on is just ridiculous. Like, it is like, where did, like, it just takes such a left turn at the end of the series of what they do with her character, and I'm just like, what is happening? Nevertheless, moving on from that, I just think that the writing doesn't really hold up in that sense. From those characters, you know, supporting characters, to the way they handled Danny, the way they handled the villains was okay. I think the shadow villain that they had was fine, but I really, really enjoyed Madame Gao. I really enjoyed Madame Gao. Having her back, anytime she's on screen, is great. She just instantly brings this aura of mischief and just mysticism, and she does a great, great job. I love Madame Gao. Anytime she's on screen is always a benefit to the show and to the Netflix universe in general. Besides that, when it comes to the writing, I think it's pretty obvious kind of that it was rushed. I think the way the story unfolds is just really slow. Like the first 2 episodes you could honestly skip, and then you get to the 3rd episode when things start to pick up, and then they slow back down immediately, and then you get to the 6th episode where the plot actually unfolds of what the show is actually going to be about, and then it slowly drags itself on to each and every single plot point, and it doesn't pick up until you have shining moments with certain characters who come in, you know, Claire Temple, Madame Gao. When those characters come in, the plot kind of picks up, and the entertainment value actually picks up, but besides that, the show moves like a snail, and it is so hard to get through. 13 hours. It was 13 hours of purgatory for me personally. It was rough getting through that show. I think the last thing we need to talk about is the fight scenes. The choreography is pretty bad. There's a few fights, there are like a few like shining moments in the show. You have like the Drunken Master fight, that was really awesome. You kind of have the Hatchet fight, which homage to, you know, Old Boy and all that stuff. I think that went really well. But besides that, choreography and the action was pretty bad, and it's really subpar. And it's honestly, what makes it so subpar is when you compare it to something like Daredevil. The Iron Fist is supposed to be this kung fu master, and I'm not even talking about from a comic book perspective. I'm talking about this from the perspective of what the TV show gives and promises to bring to you. They do not deliver at all, really, when it comes to the martial arts, and they really could have done better. Nevertheless, guys, the show was rushed. It really wasn't my favorite. I think generally what it comes down to is that season 2 has a lot to work with. I think now that all the groundwork has been laid out, I think they should learn from their mistakes of what they should and should not focus on. Do not focus on boardroom meetings. There were so many boardroom meetings and stupid just financial crap that just it should have been a subplot. Not a main plot point, just a subplot. Something that's seeded within that really enhances the level and the scale of the show. Instead, we spend so much time with a company we don't care about and characters we don't care about, or at least I personally don't. I found them just so insufferable. I really did not like this show. I didn't expect to turn this into a rant, and I do apologize, but man, I do not like Iron Fist. But it's all subjective, and I completely understand. I feel like this is how other people felt about Luke Cage. Like, I love Luke Cage, or at least the first half of Luke Cage. I think the second half of Luke Cage is complete garbage. But when it comes to understanding what people feel, I feel like this is my Luke Cage. This is what the second half of Luke Cage for me was for this whole entire series. I just think it was a mess that was unfocused, it was rushed, and I just, if I'm giving it a score, I'd probably give Iron Fist, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. I really did not like this show. Oh, I did not like this show. Nevertheless, guys, let me know what you thought about Iron Fist in the comment section down below. I know there are a lot of people out there who really love it, and I want to hear from your perspective. What about this show really drives it home for you? They're like, man, I seriously, guys, you don't understand what you're missing. This show is awesome. Let me know in the comment section down below what it is, because I sure as heck cannot find it. But nevertheless, that doesn't mean your opinion isn't valid. Doesn't mean my opinion is invalid. Guys, all of our opinions matter, and there's a lot to dissect with this series. So let's go into the comment sections, let's talk about it, and just see what we can unpack about this TV show, what we liked, what we didn't like, and, you know, just talk about some stuff. Guys, thank you so much for supporting this channel, and thank you so much for just keeping up with my crazy schedule. I work in a newspaper on campus, so we are working on putting out a print edition, so it's been hectic, a lot of long hours, really struggling to find the time to put together videos, but it's almost summertime, so expect more videos around then for sure. But nevertheless, guys, of course I'm going to come in and try to sneak in whenever I can to give you guys a video. Thank you so much for all your support. Let me know what you thought about the show in the comment sections down below. And guys, remember, if you like this review, hit that like button down below. Really helps us out. And also, if you're new here, I don't know how you found this video out of all the videos out there of Iron Fist reviews that have been out for quite some time. But thank you for being here. And if you like the video, maybe subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Daniel. And don't forget to get geeky.